Holla back, y'all. It's the infamous Captain of La Bottine Koskia. Ya boy. You know him. You love him. It's me, Captain Mustachio. We back with another sick episode of Myths and Mustaches, a short story audiobook podcast about me and my adventures on the high seas with my trusty crew. But before we dig into that tantalizing tale, we gotta drop some pirate education and take you nerds to school. So, we didn't have a submission this week for Pirate Question, but on the last episode, we discussed the many reasons why pirates are better than Vikings, and pretty much so different that it's obvious. But one of our points was that pirates wore eye patches. So, let's talk about eye patches. Everyone seems to think that we all just gouge each other's eyes out. Like, that's some sort of pirate staple, to gouge or be gouged. But the reality is the eye patch wasn't used to cover up injury. We didn't exactly care about, how we looked. Plus, chicks dig scars. So if I have a vacuous eye hole, I'm gonna wear that proudly because it's super gangster. But no, the eye patch was for inside the ship, or the bilge, as we call it. You see, we don't have lights or torches underneath the hull, so it's pitch black down there. So by wearing an eye patch, we keep one eye completely adjusted to the dark, so if we have to race down below to load a cannon or something, we can immediately see what we're doing by taking the eye patch off and switching eyes. So it's actually an ingenious functional tool that we invented, and it looks cool. Oh, except Paco. Yeah, Paco has what the doctor calls chronic pink eye. His eye basically looks like a diseased baboon anus, like all the time. And it's one of those things where we got him the eye patch because, well, it was yucky. And we don't like looking at him while we're eating, Okay, but you guys can't tell anybody this, all right? So the boys were playing poker one night, and Paco straight cheated Rick out of 500, all right? So when Rick found out about it, he started farting on Paco's pillow as a revenge scheme. And yeah, he's been doing that for 3 years religiously. And Paco has no idea still. Rick straight flosses his cheeks with the guy's pillowcase. And wouldn't you think hey, my pillow smells like a butt, or I'm gonna flip it over, or get a new one, or wash it, or something, I don't know, but nope. Now they're talking eye surgery, and possibly removal because he's going blind from constant infection. And I'm probably gonna have to fire him, or I don't know, make him walk the plank or whatever, because what good is a blind pirate, right? Bro, his wife even left him because she said she couldn't bear the sight of him anymore. Freaking hilarious, right? Anyway, like I was saying, pirates are geniuses, and the eye patch is one of the many great inventions that made us even more efficient and dangerous. We call him Poopy Peepers behind his back. Chapter 5, Alien Monkey Space Invasion. Just kidding, that's stupid, but seriously, could you imagine? Hacking away with their swords and machetes, and dodging snakes and other small creatures of the jungle, the pirate gang traversed to the base of the monstrous mountain. Nighttime was approaching them fast. They burst through the edge of the jungle and hiked to the beginning of a steep and dangerous-looking trail that encircled the mountain. The start of the trail was guarded by 2 menacing totem poles decorated with skulls of their victims. Several bodies of explorers were hanging from trees surrounding the mountain. Scattered around them was a sea of black rocks and bones that overtook the grass. "Well, this looks like a good place to camp for the night," said Captain Mustachio triumphantly. The rest of the crew looked at him like he was deranged, but they knew no matter the circumstance, Captain Mustachio feared nothing. "Rodriguez, Santiago, I want you to lead a team of your choice to get us some fresh water. I can hear the sound of a nearby waterfall and we'll be out soon," commanded Captain Mustachio. "Si, senor," replied Rodriguez and Santiago. "The rest of you hood rats start setting up camp and break out the supplies," directed Captain Mustachio, who reached in and pulled out a miniature comb to pamper his mustache. The crew heeded the captain's instructions and began unloading their packs and setting up small tents to rest, except for Pirate Rick. Pirate Rick had figured out that the black rocks on the ground would leave black smudges on anything they touch. He had stripped naked and began rubbing the rocks all over his body, screaming that he was a, quote, ninja of the night. Captain Mustachio put a quick end to that with an accurate throw from 20 yards out with a black rock that smacked Pirate Rick in his right eye.
"Oh my gosh! You got the other one!"
screamed Pirate Rick again while he writhed.
"Why are you so accurate? That's not normal."
"Should have made him walk the plank years ago," sighed Captain Mustachio under his breath. He looked up to see Princess Reneliana carefully observing the totem poles. With luscious swagger, he made his way over to her and bent over to pretend like he was too, also really interested in the totems.
"Seems that the tribe of indigenous natives doesn't take kindly to outsiders, Captain,"
said Reneliana, staring at the pictograms. "Oh? What gave it away? The dead pirate bodies hanging from the trees or the endless sea of bones that Rick is using as drumsticks to drop a fat beat right now?" Captain Mustachio sneered sarcastically. She giggled. "But aren't you scared that we may have to fight them?" "My crew and I are ready to take on any spear-throwing onslaught that we face." Captain Mustachio looked off into the night, all mysterious and sexy-like as he spoke.
"Why is fighting always the first thing you pirates come up with?"
chided the princess, looking up at Captain Mustachio. I don't know, princess, okay? Why is anyone the way that they are, huh? Why is being a super hot babe the way that you are? Why is your whole deal being some thick mama who questions my whole existence? You think I'm just some mindless death machine with a perfect face bush and sculpted quads? I have feelings, woman. Mustachio bit his lip and looked super sensitive. What? Asked Reneliana, looking puzzled. You know what? Where are those idiots with the water? Am I right? Faltered Captain Mustachio quickly, changing the subject and walking away. Rick, I want you to lead a search party and find those buttholes. Aye, aye, Captain, shouted Pirate Rick. He had just finished putting his own graffiti with the black rocks on the side of the mountain that read, Captain Eric Hart's Monkey Butts. Rick grabbed 5 other men and began walking into the forest towards the sound of rushing water in the distance. And don't get lost, shouted Captain Mustachio, who turned around and began lighting a fire. Pirate Rick made faces at the captain, but ran into the forest quickly in case he saw. With a fire blazing, Captain Mustachio and Reneliana were seated next to the flames, warming their hands with the cool night air rushing in on them. The stars are, really pretty, stammered Captain Mustachio, staring at the fire and refusing to lock eyes with Reneliana. Yes, I suppose they are. It's a beautiful night on this lonesome island, said Reneliana, who accidentally brushed Captain Mustachio's hand reaching for a piece of bread. She was totally getting fresh. "I want to have your babies," wheezed the captain under his breath.
What did you just say? Questioned Reneliana with a bizarre look.
I said my dog had rabies. It was really sad. I had to put him down. He bit one of the crew.
Captain Mustachio bit his lip awkwardly before shoving his hands into his face. Oh, that is sad. Captain Mustachio, you seem very nervous right now, smiled Reneliana.
What? Me? Nervous? Don't be silly. I'm just thinking about killing natives, and it gets me all hot and bothered, shouted Captain Mustachio into Reneliana's face.
I see. Reneliana clearly didn't believe him.
I need to go do my push-ups, screamed Captain Mustachio, getting up and quickly running out towards a clear patch of ground. He shoved his hook into the ground and began counting off push-ups. Reneliana rolled her eyes, but watched him carefully. Just then, a scream erupted in the distance. It sounded like a combination between a small schoolgirl and a groundhog being molested. Like the sound a howler monkey makes when giving birth to twins. Like a cat that's being pet too hard by a kid with a disability. Like, really bad.
Captain Mustachio, did you hear that? Whimpered Reneliana, who was clearly concerned.
What? Oh yeah, I only did like 27 push-ups, but that's a lot for a normal guy. I usually do like 300, but I'm pretty sure my electrolytes are low. Also, I usually superset them with squats, but The captain was cut off by an even louder scream. It was running this way. "Captain!" screamed Pirate Rick as he bolted out of the jungle, pitch black and still naked. "Rick, what happened?" yelled Captain Mustachio with the remaining crew gathered around him. Pirate Rick stopped to catch his breath, and then in a panicked tone he said, "The natives, they attacked us. There were hundreds of them. They captured most of the men and killed the ones who fought back."
"How did you escape?" replied Reneliana, helping him stand tall.
"Oh, I am so glad you asked. It was awesome. So they didn't see me at first because of my sweet ninja camouflage, but then when they did spot me, I used Jorge as a human shield from the spears and arrows and made a break for it to camp," exclaimed Rick excitedly. "Good man, Rick," said Captain Mustachio. Pirate Rick beamed with pride at the approval of his captain.
We have to get out of here. They're probably following him back to camp," shuddered Reneliana with urgency in her voice.
"She's right, men. Gather your things quickly. We have to continue up the trail," commanded Captain Mustachio.
"Shouldn't we retreat back to the ship?" cried Reneliana.
"They have my men. It's my duty as captain to save them. Besides, we still need to find our treasure," winked Captain Mustachio with his hands on his hips and his mustache blowing gently in the wind.
"Oh, okay,"
stuttered Reneliana. She felt dizzy looking at the captain. The crew and our heroes proceeded to grab their weapons and supplies and frantically began running up the harrowing peak trail.
Hey guys, thank you all so much for listening to Myths and Mustaches. My name is Logan, and I am the creator, author, editor, and voice actor for Myths and Mustaches. The intro and outro music for Myths and Mustaches was performed and recorded by the very talented Max Faith. If you loved it like I did, go check out more of his stuff at maxfaith.bandcamp.com. That's maxfaith.bandcamp.com. And if you liked what you heard from my silly stories and want to be a sponsor for my project, you can check out more of my stuff out on my Patreon at patreon.com/mythsandmustaches. And if you're already a subscriber, then I just want to tell you that I love you. And you're kind of my favorite. And I've sometimes thought about you romantically. And if you're not a subscriber, then, well, I guess we can still be friends. Again, thank you guys so much for listening and subscribing, and stay tuned for more piratey nonsense in the upcoming weeks. Sound effects for this chapter were provided by Music for Video, Smart Sound, and Zapsplat. All of these creators and their content can be found at www.zapsplat.com.